Jump into this today. Los Alamos National Laboratory. Who here? There's a few people other than Dr. Lee in the chat, real quick. Who works at the lab? Anybody work at the lab? Been an intern at the lab? Want to work at the lab? Let me know. Who else? I know this is Tara, of course, right? Anybody else? Anybody else here? Every now and then we get some students that come through, and most of them are people that came through Dr. Lee's program and then ended up working at the lab. All right, I just wanted to see real quick. All right, so good. Let me tell y'all about Los Alamos National Laboratory. All right, and why we call it the epitome of collaboration. And I'll just give you a quick synopsis of the whole history of the lab. I'm doing this because, in case you don't know, Dr. Lee is a health physicist at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and the whole way this whole program got started is because of the visions that she had, right? And so I don't know if you all ever thought about it that way, but Los Alamos does a lot of collaborating, a ton of collaborating and cooperative research, right? So Racing Toward Dawn, that's the video. You can watch this video either on our website or you can look it up on YouTube. This is it's about a 17-minute video. It's the actual history of the lab and the first atomic bomb over here, right? That we developed. And let's just take a quick snapshot of what was happening right there. Okay. So in 1939, Leo Szilard, Hungarian physicist, asked Albert Einstein to send a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He wanted to send a letter over there because they found out that the Nazis were possibly developing an atomic bomb. They had discovered nuclear fission, fission, right? And they were like, hold on, what's going on over there? That could definitely shift the whole balance of the war. And so he got Albert Einstein to send a letter over there. Albert Einstein also signed the letter. They sent it to Franklin D. Roosevelt, okay? And what happened is in 1941, you all already know this from history class, right? That's when the U.S. actually entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Okay, so everything's going crazy right now. Now, FDR and Prime Minister Churchill, right, Winston Churchill, decided to collaborate. All right, here we go. In the middle of a war, okay, y'all already know it's allies and enemies, right? So you got allies on one side, right? And they decided to do some cooperative research. They said, we need to find out what's going on. Let's pool our resources. Many of the great scientists over from the UK and from the United States, across institutions in the United States and in the UK, started collaborating, right, on what was going on with atomic energy and the atomic bomb at that point in time, right? This is how the whole thing, the Manhattan Project, started. Obviously, it's named Manhattan Project, in case you don't know, because it was in Manhattan, New York, all right? Now, I found this very interesting, right? So I got two super strong personalities, two world leaders decided to collaborate, right, and completely change the course of history right here. So what happens is at its peak, there were 130,000 scientists, scientists, engineers, technicians, and other workers working on this thing. That's a lot of people, right? And notice that different disciplines are happening here, different disciplines, different walks of life. Okay, and they're like, who's running this whole thing? Well, there's Groves and Oppenheimer, right? So there's General Leslie Groves, and he's missing the R on that part right there. It's General Leslie Groves, right? And he was appointed by FDR. Okay, at first he was a colonel, but then he became a general. Now, he chose J. Robert Oppenheimer. Okay, and Oppenheimer chose Los Alamos because he had been on vacation in New Mexico or something like that. And that's where the lab started, Project Y. This is where they were going to work on this whole thing to make sure we could get this atomic bomb built, right? Now, here's the crazy part. I'm going to pause for 1 second right here and talk about this. General Leslie Groves was an extremely, obviously successful, well-known person, right? He had a lot of determination and focus. Here's the crazy part, though. People that know him and he knew it, Oppenheimer, they had nothing in common. They did not have the same temperament. They didn't have the same personality. But what happened is the one thing that they have is the same determination and focus. So there was enough common ground, but also the general was able to step back and realize, I don't need somebody that's just like me. Right? I don't want somebody that's just like me. I need somebody else with a different skill set, probably a different temperament and other things, but that had the same amount of focus and determination that I had. This is a great skill of people who are trying to build teams. That is the ability to realize that we tend to like this is a natural thing. People tend to hang out with people they know, like, and trust, right? But just because you know, like, and trust somebody does not mean that that's the only type of people you should collaborate with. People love to hang out with folks that are like them, right? That affirm their opinions and don't challenge what they're thinking and things of that nature. That's not cool at all, right? So all of us need to expand our networks at time, especially in the professional scenario and in professional settings, because it helps us to see things from a different angle and to get new skill sets and new perspectives that hopefully will help us be better collaborators. All right. So in 1945, so this has been going on for about 3 years now, it was successful. Oppenheimer and the whole team, over there at Project Y, they were able to get things done. There was a lot of hiccups, a lot of ups and downs. If you want to read about all those or listen or know about all those, feel free to watch the video. Okay, so like I said, it's about 17 minutes. They dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Japan. World War II ends, and Norris Bradbury takes over. He's the second director of it's no longer Project Wise, right? It's like going to be Los Alamos National Lab now, right? But he's the second person, he's the second director, and that's why the museum that is there is named after him, the Bradbury Museum, which is where this video originally comes from. All right. So let's take a look at this right now. Today, LANL is a multidisciplinary institution. Okay, what that means is like people from all walks of all professions, many professions, right? Many different disciplines. You don't have to only work in radiation like Dr. Lee does or be a health physicist along those lines. There are other things. Tara, if you don't mind me, Tara, what's your job title? It's out of curiosity, or your department that you work in. Tara,
I'm a technical project manager.
So
program projects interface.
So Tara's a technical program manager for project. What did you say? Interface.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Program project interface.
So okay, for program project interface. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this means that now Tara, so you're looking at Dr. Lee as a scientist, and Tara is the project manager. Like she's the one who's like, okay, we need to get these departments, we need to get these aspects done, working together and things of that nature. So you can see two different disciplines happening right then and there. Is that okay, synopsis, Tara? She said exactly. That's good. All right. So there you go, right? So in a snapshot right there, you got two totally different types of backgrounds, thinking, disciplines, and things of this nature. And this happens daily, all the time. You said, why are you showing this out? I'm showing this because it just shows you that the entire lab, right? That and there's 17 of them, right? So LANL, we didn't just talk about LANL working with itself. There's other national labs like Sandia and Oak Ridge and P&L and stuff like that, right? I just learned this in the last, I don't know, well, 7, 8 years now, since I met Dr. Lee. That's when I learned all of this stuff. Okay. Had no idea this was going on. And you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people being employed. And even on a smaller, look at us. We're all sitting here today because of a collaboration that got started. And thus we're all sitting here today learning how to build our collaborative skills. I just want you to see collaborations when they happen and they actually work. They last for generations. They can impact generations. All right. So I'm a big thinker. I tend to look at things that way. But of course, on a smaller note, they help our lives be better as well. Now, there's a lot of hidden stuff missing. I told you a lot of story. Everything sounded great. Didn't it sound great? Oh, they got everything done. It was a success, and even though General Groves and Oppenheimer, they weren't the same, but they still were able to work together. Okay, it always sounds good after you hear the story. And you all know how it is. I don't know. I couldn't find anything. I just looked out of curiosity, but since I couldn't talk to anybody who was actually there, there's always something going on. I don't know what it is, but there are nuances. There's always difficulty. There's always struggle when you try to collaborate. This is what we're going to spend most of our time focused on today. We're going to take a look behind the curtain and see what it takes so that you can become a better collaborator, but also, more importantly, for some folks like Deborah right now, who is, you're not just part of the collaboration, you might be the leader, like running the collaboration, right? And so we want to take a look at that as well. Here's my $1 million question. What do all great collaborators have in common? Can anybody tell me in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, feel free to talk. I'm happy to listen to your answers, right? Let me know. Give me the one great thing that all great collaborators have in common. I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to hear this because we just got finished saying that it takes so many different skill sets and things of this nature. I like that somebody said the ability to listen. All right. As Renee is saying, great communication skills. You know what? That's interesting. Yeah, you know what? Because I would say a lot of great collaborators had these in common. Okay, questioning attitude, great connections. There goes my man Greg. I like Gregory because he takes what we learned from last time in the fall professional development training, and he keeps building on that and bringing it back. Because he's talking about you got to have great connections in there somewhere, right? Okay, I'm with you, Greg. I'm definitely with you on that one. These are all good things, right? And so here's my thing. Some, believe it or not, like, if you listen to about some great leaders, people will say, nah, he's a great leader, but he wasn't the world's best listener, right? Or you know what, they got stuff done, but I don't know if they were the world's best communicator, or he's a great thinker, but he didn't communicate that well. He didn't express himself that well, things of this nature. So these things are all important, and I feel like great collaborators have these sometimes, right? But I'm looking for something that we can say that it's hard to argue with, saying whether, regardless if we're talking about General Groves, if we're talking about Oppenheimer, if we're talking about Dr. Michelle Lee, if we're talking about Tara, if we're talking about Steve Jobs, we're talking about Dr. King, anybody. I mean, we can pull out anybody, right? It's kind of hard to say that these people don't have this particular thing in common. Somebody said compromise. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Adaptability. That's a good one. I definitely like that. I guess it depends on where you are. Some people are known as being you're in charge of the collaboration, and you could be more or less adaptable. I'm gonna give you all a word. Here it is, right here. Here's the word I'm thinking of. It's not that I disagree with anything you all said. I just feel like this word I'm getting ready to give you is very hard to argue with. Here it is. Execution. That's the one. Like, I don't care where you are in the collaboration chain of things. If you are at the top, that is the person I'm running this show, or if you are the person that is just part of the show, or if you're the head honcho of this whole thing, or you're the person who comes in and makes sure everybody has what they need. Like, I was the person who's making sure that the room was set up right, and that the chairs were set up right, and that all the equipment was running and things of this nature. It doesn't matter. So it is the execution part. That is, great collaborators get their stuff done. Like, whatever your job, whatever you're thinking, whatever your little part of this whole thing is supposed to do, people can depend on you to get that done, right? What I say is this: you get your stuff done when it should be done, the way it should be done. Okay, that does not mean everybody in the world will like you, but what it does mean is it makes it very hard to say you're not adding value or doing what you're supposed to do in terms of this whole collaborative effort. Let me say it again: you get your stuff done when it should be done, the way it should be done. Okay. Listen here, I can tell y'all, I don't care what level you are at. I don't care if you've been working for 30 years or you've been working for 30 months, right? I am telling you, when you start hearing people complain about somebody or about what's going on at work, it's usually that somebody didn't do something that they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it the way they were supposed to do it. That's normally what's happening. And they got the whole team jammed up, or they got people frustrated, mad, upset because they didn't get their stuff done. So not only, and here's the secret sauce behind this thing, right? So you got to get your stuff done, right? You got to be able to get your stuff done because you're responsible for you. But if you want to take it to another level, man, great collaborators tend to excel at helping other people get their stuff done. For some reason, it's like when this person is around, or when I work, or this particular leader, their team or their section or their division, then you know what? They got high productivity over here. They get things done, right? And you all know how it is. Have you ever worked on a project anywhere at school or at work, and somebody did not do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it? Drop a Y in the chat for me. If that's ever happened to you, please drop a Y in the chat. I don't care what it is, right? You always like, look, man, like, you're holding everybody up. What is going on? So execution. I am telling you, this is it right here. If you sat in, and if you were sitting in front of me trying to tell me that you had great collaboration skills, I'm just telling you me, and I'm sure other people who are interviewing are like this as well. I'm listening for things. I'm listening for, of course, I'm listening for the odds and the weeds, but I'm listening to see what you worked on. I'm looking for your skill sets and things of this nature. But what I am secretly listening for me is I'm trying to see if you get stuff done. I'm trying to see if, for whatever reason, when you're part of this thing, things get done, like the projects get completed, tasks get accomplished, right? People are where they need to be. I want to see if that happens, right? Let's see. Gregory said I had to put the whole the whole group on my back. That's bad, man. Right? All of a sudden, that ain't collaboration. That's called carrying. You carried, right? you had to carry the whole group. That's not cool, okay? And that usually doesn't last long. That's usually bad for the whole group, actually, because no one person can do everybody's work. It's not cool. They'll get burnt out even if they can. And plus, it's never as good as it could be. And I'm sure you handled your business, Greg, so I'm glad to hear that. Let's see this here. Brittany, what's up, Brittany? Good to see you, man. Brittany was like, God, yes, it has happened. Of course it has. Of course it has, right? Okay. So you all already know. So I had to lean on this for a minute because we're going to talk about collaboration skills and things you can do, what's going on with people internally. I promise you, at the end of the day, man, you got to get your stuff done when it should be done the way it should be done. If everybody did this, all collaborations would be great, and the conflict management and all that stuff will come way down. That mean you would like everybody. That mean everybody's gonna be cool and gonna be friends. But most of the difficulties and arguments and the irritation happens because people just not handling their business.